So we've looked at some examples of structuralism, and hopefully it wasn't too boring, and hopefully it was just kind of interesting in just seeing these puzzles and these ideas and how does something work, whether it's a chocolate chip cookie, how do we make one, or how do we solve a Rubik's Cube, or how do we look at the Tower of Hanoi? Yeah, so how do we solve that puzzle? Also. Now, what is structuralism? Structuralists believe that humans have basic stories, myths, and formulas to our existence. And I always like to say with structuralism is that there is a structuralist part of our minds that tries to figure the world out, tries to assign meaning to the world, and tries to find understanding in the way we go through the day. And even the day itself is divided into sections so that we can understand it. This is my morning, this is my afternoon, this is my evening, this is the weekend. Yeah, so that we look at and we divide things up in a structuralist way so that we can understand the meaning of that. I even say education is very structuralist. We try to put everything into its place. We try to understand everything, and we try to assign the meanings so that they make sense to people. Yeah, that is a big part of structuralism. Yeah, whether it's chocolate chip cookies or Rubik's Cubes. Yeah. So we use the word algorithm, and an algorithm is a process or a set of rules to be followed, often in calculations or other problem-solving ways of doing things. Our computers, our cell phones, they all work on kinds of algorithms. If this happens, then this happens, yes. And if this is true, then this is also true. So we look for those kinds of things. I like to show this. This is a Facebook algorithm, which is kind of fun for just looking at what should show up on my feed, my Facebook feed, when I look at it. And we are a product. What we see when we open our social medias are determined by various algorithms. And that can be kind of, even some people consider that to be a little bit of a dangerous thing of how we're being manipulated by the algorithms of these platforms. So structuralism can be both good, and perhaps some people can think these formulas, we might not understand the formula that's really taking place. But most of the time we're looking at the world thinking, if this happens, then I go this way, then I decide this. If this other thing happens, then I'm going to decide this other thing. And we look for meanings in that. Okay, we mentioned Claude Lévi-Strauss. He's a French anthropologist, along with Ferdinand Saussure. So Lévi-Strauss, anthropologist, Saussure was the linguist and studying that. I think we mentioned Saussure when we were in our chapter on language. Yeah. So, and what they believed is a really fantastic term that I want you to know called grand narrative. Sometimes you see it as meta grand narrative. And what that is an encompassing theory that explains everything and makes everything make sense. So when someone looks for a meta grand narrative, they're looking for that overarching theory to say, this makes sense. Yeah, in all things. Now, structuralists tend to look for those formulas. Now, some of you, whenever I mention a formula, will say, ooh, that's a dangerous word sometimes in art, because even though we use processes that are sometimes the same, sometimes art rebels against things that are formulaic, that we follow the same series of steps. So again, that's something that when we're looking at the people who challenged structuralism, that's an idea that they were really interested in, is taking art and taking away these meta-grand narratives, these overarching ideas and theories, these formulas, and let's move it someplace else.